Pleasure to be here with someone that has undoubtedly had the most impact, the most transformative impact on the broader space of education, a space that is very, very close to everyone's heart here. I've had the good fortune of being a small part of the journey of Byju's, which started as a little app in 2015 and has now grown to become the world's largest edtech company, about a $2 billion revenue company, impacting about 100 million customers across the world, something that is global beyond India now. And it's a real pleasure to have Byju here with us this morning. Welcome.
Thank you.
Since our session is called The Entrepreneur's Journey, we'll try and stick to all of the interesting stuff around just how this journey has panned out for Byju and the rest of his crew over the last 7, 10, 15 years. You come from very humble beginnings, Byju. Tell us a little bit about your growing up years. Where did you grow up? Who were your biggest influences? How did you become a teacher?
Good morning, everyone. I'll give a short answer to that. I'll also wait for everyone else to come back because they've just gone for good coffee outside. I'll dramatize the story by telling that I come from a small village, which is a fact. How I got into teaching and how that ended up becoming a business is something which I'll try capturing in the next 2 minutes. I went to a government school where forget about finding good teachers. Finding teachers itself was a challenge. And some of us started teaching. I love math, so I ended up becoming a math teacher. First started in school. I used to teach in my village, in college, and then later my friends. In India, attracting students, those who are hungry to learn, very aspirational is not that big a challenge. So starting in India is a huge advantage in this case. My first formal session was for 30 students. By the time I took my sixth session, there were 1,200 students. So it moved from a classroom to an auditorium, and at its peak, this is maybe a few hundred people. At its peak, I used to handle math classes in stadiums with 25,000 students, but had the conviction to disrupt that and move from stadiums to smartphones in 2015. So this love for math, learning math and teaching math is what and ended up becoming a business. In one sentence, I normally say that if you are good in math and south of India, you will end up becoming an engineer by chance, a teacher by choice, which made me an entrepreneur by chance. But still in that pursuit of how to make it bigger, more importantly, better, would want to believe somewhere in the beginning of that journey, because it's such an important sector, unfortunately grossly neglected by most of the investors. You can't get into education or education technology thinking about making money out of this. You have to think of 10, 20, 30 years if you want to make an impact. But one thing which I can guarantee as an investor or as an entrepreneur is that this is one of those few sectors where if you do good, you'll end up doing well. Or if you do well, you'll end up doing good. So just to cut short that, so it's close to all of us. It's a sector which is very close to all of us. And my aim in this short period will be every country needs a Byju's. If I can inspire at least 5 of you to actually start an education technology company, I'll believe that this 25 minutes, 30 minutes is worth my time and worth your time.
No, that's fantastic. So you started as a teacher, and you started as a teacher because there weren't enough teachers at the school you went to. And you filled up stadiums, you said, of 25,000 people teaching math, almost like math concerts. At what point did you decide that it was time to start a business out of this and create a technology company, and how was that journey for you?
Even when I was doing in stadiums, it was a business. It was just that it was offline. And in 2015, when apps were taking off, smartphone penetration was increasing, we just decided that what we wanted to do have never changed. How we have done business, we moved from offline to online, and that's been a turning point. Launched the first learning app in 2015, which is the largest learning app in the world today with more than 100 million students. And over the last 7 years, we have created a lot more learning apps, starting from for K-12, beyond K-12, in subjects like math, science, coding, reading. We own some of the largest learning apps in the world. But even at our scale, by no means I'll say it's successful. It's just relative success. There are around 7 million plus paid subscribers in India on our paid platform, and there are 5.5 million students on our not-for-profit platform. So there's this huge aspiration of creating one of the largest education companies in the world, but a bigger aspiration that in the meantime we will also end up creating one of the largest not-for-profit initiatives in the world.
No, that's very interesting. Talk a little bit about EFA, Education for All. You just signed Lionel Messi to be your ambassador. You're obviously sponsoring the FIFA World Cup. You've been a big sponsor of sports in India. Talk about the mission for you on EFA and what you hope to achieve in the next 5, 10, 15 years.
If you look at most of the large philanthropic organizations, they'll all focus on education and healthcare, because these are the two sectors which everyone will think once people start making money. So to enable a bigger impact by using technology as an enabler, what we have done is we have partnered with 175 plus global NGOs. We have partnered with multiple state governments in India to offer the same product which we monetize on one side of it, to offer completely free. So we only monetize the top 1/3, those who go to a private English medium school, but we give it completely free to students, those who go to a government school. Just to give you an idea, I come from a government school. Even the average English which you hear from me is what I've learned by listening to cricket commentary on radio, sports commentary on radio. So if we would have got something like this, it would have been a lot easier for us to learn. So what we are trying to solve on both sides, by investing in creating products which are very appealing for students to learn on their own. If you ask me what's the biggest impact we are creating is, we created a product which is built around love for learning in a country obsessed with spoon feeding. Unfortunately, in India is where learning is still driven by fear of exams and not love for learning. How we have achieved this, or how we are trying to solve this, is by creating movie-like videos, game-like interactions, and by offering it through a platform which will personalize the way students learn based on their proficiency level, is how we are trying to make an impact. And we are off to a good start, but there's a long way to go before we'll even think of this as success.
No, absolutely. Education, I think, is a massive, massive white space. One of the things that I remember was etched in my head as I was learning about Byju a couple of years ago was your beginnings in Bangalore, where your first cohort of partners, employees, people that were around you and really wanted to convert this sort of vision or dream into a reality was, the fact that you had 300 of your students come along, people that you had coached for math and science, but that were now willing to be a part of this journey. How did you attract them? What did you tell them? How have you retained them? How many of them have actually continued to be around with you? Could you talk a little bit about those pieces?
You're asking all easy questions. He's also one of our investors. He normally asks tough questions when it's in a closed room. But I'll answer this question. There's an easy one.
Today is easy.
It's easy to attract talent in a sector like this because of the same reason, because of the double impact sector which I talked about. I didn't start this company with my friends. I started this with some of the top students, those who joined me for right reasons. We were not a brand at that point of time. We were not VC funded. The first 5 years, it was bootstrapped. That's why when some of the new entrepreneurs, when they come and ask, should we start a company in this funding window, my answer is generally is that business is not about fundraising. We have also raised a lot of capital, and that's why we've got a lot of media attention you will get for fundraising. But the real thing is about following your passion, creating a product, finding the product market fit, and then raise capital when you need to accelerate. Now, to answer the question on attracting talent in a sector like education is always easy if you can show scale. For me, it was easier because the first 300 employees, all of them came from the student base. 10 years on, 261 of them are still there. There's a clear indication that they joined for right reason. 6 founding partners, all of them were students, all are still there. So, and that's very important when you move from 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100. What really matters is whether you are able to significantly increase the founder mentality. Most of the companies struggle not because of external reasons, but internally, in many cases, 10 years on, founders themselves lose that founder mentality. But if you can increase that founder mentality by having more and more owners, Those who think like honors is not just about founders, it's all about having founder mentality. That's very important to make sure that you continue making bigger and bigger impact.
Look, in my experience, building scale in India has always been tough. It's not an easy market to crack, but also to take a business from a couple of $1 million to hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of revenue scale. You've done that incredibly well over the last 6-7 years. You've grown maybe 40 times now to be a $2 billion company, as we spoke about. How did the process of scaling up work out for you? And could you also maybe talk a little bit about how easy or difficult it was to build something that is potentially an emerging global champion out of India?
I'm happy that you talked about revenue and not valuation. So in India, in this sector, especially starting in India is an advantage because there is no need to create awareness for learning. Students are hungry to learn. The reason why 25,000 students used to sit for 3 to 4 hours, even when we were doing offline sessions, is a clear indication that the hunger to learn, that's inherent. So starting in India is a big advantage in a sector like this. I strongly believe that education and education technology, India has a big opportunity to create global champions. Now, it's a long process in terms of what we have been able to do. We start, if you take something common, if you take a look at all the large education technology companies, most of them are built by teachers, those who use technology as an enabler. The good part about that is, as a teacher, you'll always think of what students want and not what technology can do. But using tech as an enabler, solving for both access and efficiency. When I say efficiency in terms of improving engagement and effectiveness by personalizing the way students consume. And today's kids, in 21st century, illiteracy is not about, or illiterates are not the ones who can't read and write. In this world, it's all about learning, unlearning, and then relearning. How do you make sure that someone who's going to school today is getting ready for a future where most of the jobs are not even getting defined? It's very important to create the habit of self-learning. Learning how to learn is a lot more important than, because our curriculums and education systems will struggle to catch up with the changes which is happening. So there is clear focus on creating self-learn. All of us learn. Today, all of us are learning because we want to learn. We're not learning because there is an exam. And that's where self-learning or active learning or creating lifelong learners is the most. If you ask me what is the future of learning, it's all about that. How do we make sure that we are all, learning is an exciting thing. We all learn before joining in school, and after leaving universities, we learn a lot more. When you learn only for an exam, only for looking just to score more in an exam or in an assessment, that's when that's not learning. That's just a shortcut. So building products which can find that right balance between keeping it engaging without losing its effectiveness. In common language, I'll say that putting the right amount of chocolate coating before we take them through the broccoli is very important. But if you can do it right, you can easily convert students from those who are learning out of fear of exams to those who want to learn out of love for learning.
No, that's fair. And when you think about the last 2.5 years, I suppose COVID was obviously a massive tailwind for EdTech. A lot of schools were shut. People were unable to get the right kind of instruction, and people moved online. Do you think there's been a little bit of a pullback? How's your experience been the last year or so, especially as the macros turned around a little bit and things have gotten tougher for most founders? How's EdTech played out? How's it been for you personally and for your team?
In markets where we have strong presence, which is, like India is 75% of our revenue, Middle East is almost 10% of our revenue, just from Indian students. So these are some of the bright spots in the world. So we see continued momentum. What you're seeing in US and especially higher education, where the narrative around, because people are earning more, they are not learning, that's not applicable here. So we are still growing. We just finished our best half year, where we saw 50% year-on-year growth from last year to this year. What COVID did to online learning is it gave a chance for all stakeholders to experience one or the other format of online learning, And that will help us skip a few years in our next 10, 20-year journey. Uh, Online learning, though it was always there, it was a big challenge to make all stakeholders, when I'm talking about stakeholders, all stakeholders, students, parents, teachers, institutions, they all tried out one or the other format of online learning during the 2 COVID years. Now, it's not that things will move 100% online or 100% offline. Just like all other sectors, the future of learning is going to be hybrid, where we have to find the best of what can be done online and what can be done offline.
Fair. Let's switch gears a little bit. Entrepreneurship is never an easy journey, as you know better than many other people. When you think about the last 6, 7 years, and particularly the last 24 months or so, what do you think were some of the toughest moments in your journey? This is a tough one, you asked for it. What do you think were some of the most tough times, and how did you wither those? Just examples would be great.
Yeah, if people think entrepreneurship is easy, now the thing is, it's all about, it's never easy. And bigger, you create something, the challenges are bigger. Now, like with apart from macro environment challenge, we had to go through multiple challenges because we were growing at 100% year on year for the last 5 years. Now, in an environment where like the revenue multiples were driving valuation, suddenly when you are shifting towards profitability, if the foundation is not strong, those companies will struggle. But it's also an opportunity for the segment leading companies to define the segment by making the right shift towards finding the right balance between growth and profitability. So that's an opportunity. As challenging as it can be, that's a big opportunity for companies, those who are defining the sectors. So, and every crisis is an opportunity to start something new. Every crisis is an opportunity to go back to your roots and find out like kill the inefficiencies in the system and focus on things which are, and focus towards sustainable growth. So I know it's been challenging, but it's also been exciting. Now, if you are thinking of, for me, it's like I've been teaching for 18 years. I want to do this for 30 more years. Anything over that long period of a time is bound to work, especially if you are following your passion, especially when you are living your dream. Now, cycles like this will come and go, 6 months, 12-month cycles, like many funding winners have come and gone, but building long-term businesses, if the aspiration is to build something which will last for decades, chances are that you will succeed over that longer period of time. If you're trying to do something in the next 2 years, it's difficult to define success. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. The longer your horizon, the easier it is. Would you have this region, I think over the last year or two, has seen a lot of activity on the entrepreneurial side. There's a lot of people that are looking to go out and create something of their own. What would you say just as advice to budding founders or entrepreneurs that are starting up in this region, this part of the world?
I am someone who strongly believes that as and when countries move towards a knowledge economy, there is strong focus in the region towards that. It's an opportunity to first start something new and start. If you see what's happening now in this region, is that there are so many people starting out. There is nothing like it's too late to start, though I see the moment you start pursuing your dreams, and it's more about, again, you should not start because someone else is asking you to start. You should start, and because I've heard a lot of people telling it's very difficult to raise 10 million, but you don't start a company with the 10 million. You start a company started with 3 people and an idea, or 1 person and an idea. Everything else will follow. So at the end of the day, entrepreneurship, unlike what people think, is not a skill. It's a mindset. It's a mindset where you don't take no for an answer. So there is nothing like this is not the best time to start. You can always start. The impact which you can create, I normally say that you will find there are 75,000 startups in India, and if the potential to have 1 million startups and 100 jobs per startup is like 100 million jobs, that's opportunity when you think from like the place where we come from. But that opportunity exists across the world. There is a lot of entrepreneurial energy. It's the right time to start. And one thing which all of us will realize once we get into something like this is that you will immediately realize that all of you are a lot better than what you think. It's almost like you're far better than what you think you are. You can do a lot more than what you think you can do. That's the first thing which you will realize once you enter your entrepreneurial journey. I'll repeat that once more. All of you are far better than what you think you are, and all of you can do a lot more than what you think you can. I come from a small village south of India. If I can do this much, all of you can do a lot more. So go and start up.
Well said. Excellent.
Like when you scale a business like this, there will always be challenges.
Yeah.
So, but right now, there is huge momentum on the ground. So,
So you believe that you can tide over this?
very much.
Okay.
Very much.
Thank you.
I've just, I'll give that answer objectively over there. We have 71 investors. And there are at least, I can see at least 5 existing investors sitting on in the crowd, including him. Not a single investor have exited the company. They are the closest to the action. Not a single top-level employee have exited the company. Business at this scale, when there are 6 million students, and it will have its own challenges, but there is nothing which can't be solved. I just invested 400 million back into the company. So
Okay.
it's going all in. Now, if your question is, how are we solving challenges? There are many challenges. At this scale, all companies go through challenges, but
Okay. So with the advent of artificial intelligence, that's AI, and I believe you had made some acquisition in Australia also, right? Am I right? How do you see, do you think in the coming years, your discipline will be, you believe there will be more of virtual universities than physical universities? Or what do you have to say? Because this question is specific to your business.
What's the future of learning in your eyes?
I think the future is going to be blended, where we'll have to find the best of what can be done online and offline. So hybrid learning, if your question is, will AI completely replace teachers, tutors? I don't think so. Not in the next 5-10 years. Teachers will always have, in an ideal world, in next generation will learn on their own. Teachers ideally should play a mentoring, motivating role, and rather than spoon feeding.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm told we're out of time. Thank you very much, Byju. Was a good
Thank
session.
you.
Thank you.